Hello, everyone. This is actually a re-recording in a way. I did a recording for the construction of the hero side deck for the sealed draft tournament of 2023, and something seems to have gone wrong. The sound isn't there, so it's very hard to follow. So I'm actually recording this after the end of the tournament, even though I intend to upload this one first. I'm reconstructing kind of what I was thinking as I started this off. So I initially went with just looking at a hero deck. I've got the most experience with hero play and it's the most comfortable for me. But I don't have a huge variety. I don't have great hero cards. So character-wise, we have Adrazar, we have Baragond, we have Denethor, we have Mablung, Bomber, Robin Smallborough, Gimli, Thorin, Bard Bowman, Bjorn, Erkenbrand, Theoden, Glorfindel, Celeborn, Legolas, and some wizards. You will note that I only have one ranger in the whole group. I only have one. I have a couple of sages, but not a whole lot of things I can play with them, as you'll see, and not a lot of scouts, which doesn't matter all that much because in the short event of support stuff, I've got an escape, I've got a burglary. Horses, I guess, can be used to decrease hazard limit, and I've got a secret passage around here somewhere, and very little else to protect my characters from assault. Ally selection is also limited. We've got one noble hound and one noble steed. Factions are a bit better. We have a lot of factions, 12 in total, and some of them are pretty big. Angmar are worth 3, the Blue Mountain Dwarves are worth 3, the Iron Hill Dwarves are worth 4, the Riders of Rohan are worth 3. We also have quite a few pairs of factions with specific characters who boost them. So, like Bjorn gets a bonus against them. We've got Thorin for the Blue Mountain Dwarves. We've got Gimli for the Iron Hill Dwarves. We've got Bard for the Men of Northern Rovanian. We've got both Erkenbrand and Theoden. We've got Denethor. We also have 3 rings, but only one thing we could test it into a magic ring of nature, and again, only one ranger to play him with. We've got the Scroll of Isildur, a few things here. And we do have 3 Swords of Gondolin, which, if we could get them out and playing, would provide some protection by just boosting the prowess of everyone. However, that would mean we'd have to keep our items on hand, and we also don't have a whole lot of things to help us with corruption. We have one new friendship, but again, we're sharply limited on diplomats, except for the big dwarves. And, I guess we got Theoden too. And we have 3 pledges of conduct, which could theoretically help us. Then that's not even that great of a corruption booster. It just lets you shuffle the items around. So on the offense side of things, my overall conclusion was this hero resource deck here, and I'll show what I came up with because I do have that on file, has the potential to score lots and lots of points if we can get a starting party to survive long enough to play them all. But the lack of any sort of protective resources is very, very bad. It's ultimately why I went with the Fallen Wizard deck, because I could use the minion, and that's also why the deck that I wound up playing, almost all the support cards are minion ones. Ultimately, I think in some ways the biggest one is the inability to play Marvel's Told just, scares me. Now, on the hazard side, things are a bit better, and of course, hazards are basically the same on both sides. We have some nice creatures. Ambusher is decent. Cave Worm is good. Cave Drake is good. Dire Wolves. We got some dwarves and elves for anti-minion parties. We got a giant. We got some giant spiders. We've got some lesser spiders. We had 3 sellswords between charters, and that's like I've got a few constructed decks where I put 3 sellswords between charters in it. We got Slayer. We've got 3 Thunder's Companions, who I got quite a bit of mileage out of. We have some Wargs and some Wolves. We also had a Wake of War and a rank upon rank around here somewhere, which meant that with our Doors of Night, which we had 2 of, there's very much the possibility of playing Doors of Night, playing rank upon rank, boosting the giants, boosting the men. At some point, you try to set up for a Wake of War and hit them with the wolves and the spiders. A lot of these decks had a lot of creatures. More so, like normally I tend to stick towards the 12 creature minimum, or 11 real creatures and 2 creature / permanent events is very common in my constructed deck. Here I went with like 15, 16 creatures per deck. We did have a few things with agents, but I ultimately, you'll see with my game against Theo, I did not find them very effective and edited them out in later iterations. I did have some thoughts of trying for Foul Fumes, but wound up not really going with that. And Long Winter also could go with Doors of Night to, roadblock people. Have some corruption, but not enough to make a real corruption go of it. I did, go with Enchanted Stream is quite nice. Eyes of the Shadow is quite nice. Foolish Words obviously is very good. Rebel Talk is at least easy to play. Siege can be very, very nice. And I had a summons from long. I probably could have made better use of that in the actual tournament. Oh well. An Unexpected Outpost is a great cycle card, and we've got Chance of Being Lost helps with if you can knock out some of their rangers, and we've got a river in here. So ultimately, what I was building came out to this. 10 starting characters were these 10. Start with an Elven Cloak and Healing Herbs. I don't actually fully remember what my starting party would have been, but just trying to reconstruct from general principles, I probably would have done Bjorn, Celeborn, Baragond, Bomber, and maybe one other small character like Bard Bowman. That way I can shift people over to follow either Bjorn or Celeborn as needed, and shift them out if I wanted to try to play a faction. Elven Cloak probably would have gone to Bjorn, Healing Herbs to Celeborn. So, try to keep Bjorn as untapped as possible, because again, he's my only ranger. Play the allies, insights that have been tapped, going for the other stuff. And also I might have actually gone with, I take that back, I probably would have gone Bjorn, Celeborn, Erkenbrand. That would be 17 between them, and then a size 2 character, probably Baragond and Bomber. Then I can shift those over as needed, but it gives me a bit more faction flexibility. Ideally get enough general influence to try to do some pop-ups, but that would also be tricky just with, some of them characters are kind of sticky. Beautiful Gold Ring, and in the sideboard we'd have the Test of Lore, and try to play the Magic Ring of Nature on Bjorn. Scroll of Isildur is worth 4 points, nothing fancy. And the Swords of Gondolin would be necessary to keep our characters alive. You can see some I worry, like cards like Houses of Healing are not things I normally include. Dreams of Lore for a few extra points. We do have some sages, especially Celeborn is a fairly survivable one. No strangers at this time, and rescue prisoners are a few more miscellaneous points. Was including this with the thought of, I think it's fairly likely that some of the characters are going to get killed. So Farsight to be able to pull a item into hand, um, some sideboardy stuff. Secret Passage just to help stay alive another turn. We were going to play Doors of Night ourselves, so I guess this was for Drake attacks if I was worried about them. And character. So on the hazard side, you can see I went with ultimate with 16 creatures: an ambusher, cave worm, cave drake, dire wolves, giant spiders, sellswords, thunderous companions. Later iterations, I would get rid of the ambusher or move it to the sideboard, and I would include. Oh no, Rancor Pawn Link is still here. I also was a bit less with the corruption and a bit more with some of the like just getting you lost and stuff. Other support permanent event hazards. Anyway, ultimately, since I did not wind up going with the hero deck, I don't think it's that important to go into strategy. Most of the strategy will be with the what was ultimately played Fallen Wizard deck. Anyway, hope you found this informative and entertaining.